So for today's class, we'll be trying to create something a little bit organic, okay? And the first thing that we'll be doing is trying to create a wound, okay? It won't be at harsh, but there will be few filters that we'll be using now. And it will start making sense because later on we have to use a lot of filters, a lot of generators to have a proper combination. In today's class, we'll be covering two new things. First is your anchor point. What is the role of anchor point? Why do we use it? And second, a filter that is called warp. Okay. So to start this, let's come up here and take the sample. Let's just delete all these layers. Okay, so whenever you're taking something inside Substance Painter, just make sure that you have those maps baked here. Okay, so this preview already have their maps, so we don't have to bake it. Come back here. Also, you have to check if you have multiple texture set list. Right now, you only have one. So the texture that we'll be creating right now here, we can also create it as a smart material. Okay. I'll be also explaining how to create or how to finalize your made material as a smart material so that you can again use it in the future for other files. Okay. Now that you are here, you have to add a fill layer, or I will be creating a folder so that I will remember those different things. Okay. I will name it as base skin. So let's say whatever skin texture you have applied onto your object, I'll be using a pre-made one. Okay. So coming up here and searching skin. Okay. And putting it inside that folder so that we can hide it, or we can close the folder if we have multiple layers. Right now we are just using a single smart material, okay, or a material as called your skin human flat. Okay, so we'll be creating kind of variations into it. We don't want it to be that huge pores. Okay, so we are just increasing tiling until it seems a little bit normal. Okay, if you come closer, you'll still see those things there. I guess 30 will be fine. Okay, pressing F to have it into the focus. You can change these values, but it doesn't matter that much because we are not creating a skin texture, we are creating a wound texture. So you already have this one. The next thing that we'll be creating is whenever we have a wound, we can have a multiple layers. Okay, there can be white infection type. Okay, there can be the redness that is around the skin. There will be redness that will be in the center of the skin onto your wound. Okay, so the first thing that we'll be creating is the outer edges area that will be the redness onto the skin. For that, we'll be creating a fill layer. Okay, let's keep it outside the base skin. Now that we have this, we'll be renaming it outer soreness or redness. Okay, so if you have few example of these layers, let's just look it up. Okay, wherever you're seeing this, it totally depends if your wound is fresh or it's been a time. If it will be fresh, something like this will appear. The outer layer will be the darker. Okay, then the corners will be more reddish because of the blood, and the center will be more white or lighter red color. For right now, we'll be just trying to create something as a wound which already been there for a long time and it have some layer into it. Okay. Let's say something like these. Okay. Or something like this. So keeping it in mind, we'll be coming back here. We have to assign a color. So if you want outer soreness to be a lighter color, because the inner one will be the blood that get clotted, right? dark red color. So we are not focusing on the inner one, we are focusing on the outer. So we'll be opting for something lighter color. Let's say I'm choosing something like this. We can also change it again as per our need, and we have to change few things like your height value should be there and your roughness value should be there, because it is kind of blur texture, so it has some shininess into it. We can match it with your skin. Okay, and having a height gap, let's say plus or negative, and you're not able to see it because we haven't painted anything yet. Okay, so from here I'll be creating a black mask. Through here you have to first thing add a paint layer. Okay, you have added a paint layer, so wherever I will painting, I will have these many things or this much gap. Okay, just remember that I have applied height gap value here. Okay, so the more height I'm changing, the more issue or the more things that will be changing here. I will leave it as it is right now. So to see the change of the filter that I'm about to add, that is called warp. Okay, you simply have to search warp. What it does, it creates distortion for the edges. Okay, so you can increase the intensity or decrease it to see how much distortion or these type of edges you need. Okay, once you have it as per your knee, let's see what else we can do is, and there will be too much density, and we can create random seeds more, whichever suits best for you. Let's say this one is fine, and we assign it to something like this. We'll be changing its height to a little bit more to have that gap. Okay, now that we are here, we can add one more thing to have the difference between them more clear. Okay, if you want it, so you simply have to add levels. You have to change it to much more sharper or much more blurriness. Okay, so if you go in this direction, it will be much more sharper. Okay, something like this. If you want it to be more fresh wound, but it's fine, we don't want it to be there, but I just want to let you know that what will happen if you control these levels. Okay, now the next thing is, we have created this one. We want to use all these layering system into our next texture. Okay, that will be the central part of the wound. Let's just first create it. So we'll be creating another fill layer that will be inner redness, or you can say the lump, the frozen part. Okay, you choose the color to something dark reddish. Okay, something like this one. You can change its roughness to make it appear much more dried. Okay, then you'll be applying a black mask from here. Okay, now it's removed. You'll be adding a fill. Now the main issue is, you can add fill here, you have this combination, you leave it back into 0.5, but to fill this up with the combination of this one, we need all these layers. Okay, so to carry it out into this one, we have to create inside this one an anchor point. Okay, so the role of anchor point is whatever is below it. Okay, it have all of its data carrying within it, and we can use it in some other layer or fill layer with some different color. Let's say into this fill. Okay, I have to come up here, click on the grayscale. I have another option, then resources is your anchor point. So the anchor point you have created, you can simply click on this one. Now it's using all of its data for this color also. Okay, now the main issue is, we can have it our own way, but it's covering up all of our that soreness or redness. To remove it from there, we have to add one more thing that is called your warp that we have used just now. Okay, it will try to differentiate the earlier one and this one. You can increase it or decrease it. to have its own combination or much more sharpness by adding levels. Okay, and from here, instead of having my height into the negative, for this one I can increase my height for outer sides. Okay, so this will be creating that combination. Now we have a system ready for us. We can also try to change it above the levels. You will see the change. Okay, so right now the levels is only working for this one. It doesn't have anything else to compare it with. Once you have the warp, it will have two things to balance out between. Okay, from here, if I change my warp value, it will be something like this. Okay, so I will keep it minimum because inner wound doesn't have that much distortion. Outer one I can change still to more intense. Okay, and other thing is I already have my paint layer now. What I simply have to do is once I click on this paint layer into your outer redness, you just have to remember to increase this grayscale to white or black. Wherever it is white, if you start painting, your new textures will be start creating of the wound. Okay, if you keep it to darker, those will start getting removed. Now the issue is, however fine you are, okay, you cannot draw the wound exactly as you need. So for that, I have some things that Substance Painter provide for you to start texturing it. You have to come up till here. You have all of these masks, okay? Instead of using paint layer, you can use these brush values, Control R or right click to increase the size, okay, the sideways, or you can just simply increase the size from here. Now I'm trying to paint. The main issue is this is onto the black one. I have to change it back onto the white one, and those layers will be start creating. Okay, just keep in mind whatever you are texturing is according to the layer system you have created here. So either you can do one thing, you can paint this layer separately, okay, and you can paint this one separately instead of using the anchor point if you want to do it manually. Or with this combination, you have to make sure that wherever you are painting, you keep your opacity to low, okay. Then you have a certain area drawn, then you can start going a little bit up, then you can add on top of it a little bit of these textures, okay, and still you have the option to change or the play with its warp value, and your sharpness value with here. Okay, what else we can do is we also have few more textures. I'll show you how we can use it. Simply coming back to our paint layer to remove it completely, keep your opacity to full. Okay, come back here, we will have few of these options. Let's say the fingerprint or the hand texture. Okay, you can create it to something like this. Okay. And I'll be removing it from there by keeping a bit of our these values and adding on top of it. Okay, so you'll have something like this for blurred kind of textures. Okay, and removing from top of it, let's say something that will be more proper like this one, and instead of using the opposite to full, removing it from there, something like this. Okay. Also, again and again, you can change its height value to see how fine it looks for roughness and other stuff to make it much more shiny for these open wounds under it. Okay, this one have more roughness and this one is kind of more fresh peel off. So I guess your final texture is done till here, and you have a blood type texture for yourself. Okay, by clicking multiple time, it will be carrying out those layering effect and adding more opacity to it to create it much more darker. Okay. Hmm. And it is done.